It's time to celebrate 20 years of... Big match, John. Yes, John Cena, 20 years in the WWE, 2 decades in the WWE, and that's what this entire Raw show was pretty much built around. Well, actually, that's a lie. It was built around a Kevin Owens Money in the Bank qualifying match that, for some reason, never happened either. But the main point, the main focal point, the main selling point for this show was John Cena, the 16-time. I'm not going to say 16 times because 16 times because that would be, very long. That would take a long amount of time. 16 times the amount of time. But the point being, this show was the John Cena show. This was built around John Cena. And thankfully tonight, we actually did get to see him. None of this, you can't see me. None of this, he's not there. John Cena was in fact there. And that's what we pretty much kicked off the show with. John Cena arriving backstage, interacting with all the superstars. Like, they were all like lined up, they were shaking Cena's hands, like, oh, nice to meet you, Cena, good to see you back, Cena, lovely to see you, Cena, we've no seen enough yet, Cena. And I'm thinking, I thought this was a bit, this is something that someone, like, when you get the Ric Flair retirement, this is normally what this is reserved for, or like someone dying. I thought it was very weird that they had the entire locker room out, like, welcoming John Cena, like, shaking Cena's hand, singing Cena's praises. And this isn't a negative on Cena, this isn't a knock on Cena, because, yeah, even though there was a time where Cena was easily my least favourite person in wrestling, I think we've all come to acknowledge that John Cena is a fucking legend, right? And he is one of the best of all time, in my opinion. Not the best. I would not say he's the best, but in terms of longevity, and, he has ability, he's put on countless great matches, and he's had countless great promos, and like I said, the longevity, his time as a main guy, he was the main guy for like a good decade. So yeah, no, it's fair to say that John Cena is one of the best of all time. So I totally get it, but what I don't get is, he just literally came back to like celebrate 20 years. And he hasn't been with the company full time. Yeah, he might have a contract where he just, he comes in and he leaves and he comes in and out. But, is it not a bit misleading to say that John Cena's been with the company for 20 years when for like the last 3 or 4 years, he's pretty much not been there? He's just came back for the odd appearance. Why not? Why didn't they, in 2016, why didn't they celebrate Austin 20 years with the company? When did The Rock join as well? The Rock joined the WWF in 2016. Why didn't they celebrate, 20 years of The Rock? I think Triple H joined in 1996 as well. Why didn't they celebrate 20 years of Triple H in 2016 as well? I don't really get this. I honestly don't. I was hoping that Cena coming back tonight would have led to him maybe having a feud with somebody, him starting a feud, but it didn't. So, yeah, I don't really understand it. He just came back literally because he debuted at 20 years ago. But it's not like he's been there the whole 20 years. He's left. It's not like he's been there 20 years, 20 consecutive years. He's not been there the last couple of years. He's left the company. So I thought the whole 20 years of Cena thing was a bit misleading. But regardless, Cena's in the building. Cena's here tonight. And, we'll speak more about Cena later. We've got a Money in the Bank qualifying last chance match. Now, it turns out Kevin Owens didn't bother turning up to Raw. He tweeted about he doesn't like Texas. He didn't want to travel to Texas. Now, I don't know if that's a joke or if that is legit reason why, because the abortions, you can't have an abortion in Texas. And I don't know if that's the reason why Kevin Owens didn't turn up. If that is the reason why Kevin Owens didn't turn up, what a fucking mong. What an unprofessional fucking retard. So he's basically refusing to turn up to work because he's not allowed to murder kids. When you think about it like that, one idiot Kevin Owens is. But here, maybe it was an injury, maybe it was something else, maybe that was just him, talking rubbish on Twitter. But, he is a bit of a lefty, he is a social justice warrior, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is the real reason. Anyway, Riddle wins the Money in the Bank qualifying match. He eliminated The Miz last. It came down to AJ and Riddle. The Miz was out injured. AJ went to do the springboard, but The Miz was on the outside, and he pulled AJ off. AJ got eliminated. Then The Miz went in, battled with Riddle. Riddle tossed him out. So Riddle wins. Not a lot else happened, really. Fear Mahan got eliminated by the Mysterios, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the downfall of Fear Mahan. I think Fear Mahan's time as this unbeatable monster, I think it'll probably be done. He wouldn't be the first person to be booked strong, then get eliminated in this sort of match, like a multi-person match, and then, just completely, die off. So yeah, Riddle wins. They mentioned on commentary he's not allowed to challenge for the Undisputed Universal Championship. Does that apply, though, if he holds the briefcase? If he holds the briefcase, then is he allowed to cash in? Or would he need to wait until Roman Reigns loses before he can cash in? They weren't really specific on that. Knowing WWE, they could probably change their mind whenever they want. But, it's nice to see Riddle win this. And I wouldn't be surprised if Riddle wins the whole thing. But again, his undoubted stipulation over him being able to challenge is a bit of a messy one here. So I don't know if he'll win the Money in the Bank match. But it's nice to see him in it. We then had Daniel Bryan, Triple H, and HBK all pay tribute to John Cena. Then later in the night, we had Jericho and Stone Cold Steve Austin pay tribute to Cena. And I was really surprised to see Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho talk here about John Cena, considering they're both on AEW. Now, I don't know if this was pre-taped for this, or whether this was recorded stuff a couple of years ago before they were both in AEW. Because I remember they did that with Scott Hall. On the Scott Hall show that he died, they were having people talking about Scott Hall, but they weren't actually talking about him dying. They were talking about him getting put into the Hall of Fame. So I'm not too sure if this was this current day, Daniel Bryan and Jericho, but if it was, I was a bit surprised to see them use AEW guys and get permission from AEW guys. But who knows? All this talk about the Forbidden Door, maybe that door has been blown open. We then move on to Montez Ford versus Jey Uso. But before this match gets underway, we get John Cena interacting with not the primetime players, the Street Profits. They wanted advice. They say they've never beat the Usos. And this was weird. People would approach Cena backstage. He wouldn't really say anything, and it would be everybody else doing the talking for Cena. And it's like, Cena's the best talker we've got. Why are these people doing the talking for him? And then Montez Ford read his shirt and went, never give up. That's what you're saying. We can beat the Bloodline if we never give up. Then they go out and Montez Ford actually defeats Jey Uso. So big win for the Street Profits. They won't win it Money in the Bank, but who cares? Big win. Then we have Miz TV, or it's just the Miz out. I don't think it was Miz TV. It was Miz getting interviewed by that Irish dude. The guy keeps trying to refer to Miz having small balls, and Miz is like, I've got gigantic, stupendous. The girth of my balls is unreal. So, probably McMahon feeding him that stupendous line. The Miz has stupendous balls. AJ Styles comes out, decks the Miz. Then we get a match between these two. AJ's in control. Looks like AJ's going to win. The Miz rolls underneath the bottom rope and gets counted out, basically. So, yeah, AJ beats The Miz by count out. Are these two going to have a match at Money in the Bank? Who knows? Don't really want to see it. Don't really care for it. But I guess we'll find out. Up next, we had Every Man's Dream. Liv Morgan versus Alexa Bliss. And the good news is, well, that's pretty much where the good news ends. We had Liv Morgan versus Alexa Bliss. Bad news is, come on. Can you imagine back in the day? This was a bra and panties match, lingerie match, something. Evening gown match, anything other than two hot blondes pretending to fight, pretending to wrestle. But unfortunately, that's what it was. Liv Morgan beat Alexa Bliss with a roll-up. We had Asuka on commentary, though, and that was very good. Honestly, I don't know if they're going for a comedic element here, or whether Asuka's English is just so bad. But it actually came off as really funny on Asuka on commentary. And I would campaign to replace Byron Saxton with Asuka on commentary. 100%. I think Asuka should replace Byron Saxton. I'm not joking. I genuinely mean that, because she was pretty entertaining. Then we had the tribute to say that John Cena has made the most Make-A-Wish wishes out of anybody in the entire world at 659. So there you go. John Cena been busy making those wishes, brother. Then we had Bianca Belair cut another terrible promo. Please take the belt off Bianca Belair. I do not care for Bianca Belair. I do not like Bianca Belair. I don't think she's good enough to be a champion. I don't know why she's getting pushed to the fucking moon. She's completely overrated. I know she's not going to lose to Carmella, but we can all hope. Carmella came out looking really hot tonight. Basically said that, yeah, she's going to win. That's it. Went to leave. Bianca went to ask another question. The heels came off from Carmella. She tried to attack Bianca. Bianca struck her in the face, and then Carmella, walked off. I mean, garbage. I mean, what was we supposed to do with this? Bianca Belair again talking about Carmella is good, but she doesn't believe in herself. She takes the easy way. She's not the EST, the bestest, the fastest. Fuck off, you cringy cunt. That's what I think about Bianca Belair. Then we had John Cena encountering Seth freaking Rollins. Rollins says to Cena, remember that time I need your face and it broke in a million pieces? And John was like, yeah, I remember. Then Seth Rollins went to talk about how they're very common. They've got a lot in common. The fashion icons. Seth Rollins with his fucking hideous outfits and Cena with his jorts, I guess. Then he talked about how they're both like mega stars, and I mean, Cena, yes, Seth Rollins, not quite. And then he talked about how they're both won Money in the Bank, and he's like, ooh, that's not a good conversation for you, because when you cashed in, you were unsuccessful, but when I cashed in, we all know what happened, the most iconic cash-in in wrestling history. Seth Rollins was continuing to brag, and then almost appeared. Cena pointed at almost. Seth Rollins turned round, shot himself, looked back to Cena. MVP basically says, oh, almost is going to win. And Seth Rollins looked at Cena for, like, I don't know, backup, encouragement, advice, help, and then Cena was like, good luck, and walked off. So, it wasn't great. Then we had a segment with Cena and Austin Theory. Austin Theory says when he was 24, he's the youngest US champion of all time. He said Cena hadn't won any titles by the time Cena was 24. He said Cena wasn't even in the company when he was 24. Said that Cena wears jorts, right? We get it. We know he does jean shorts, right? Jorts. And then he went to take a picture and Cena wandered off. So, I mean, we got a lot of backstage stuff with Cena here, but none of it was that good if we're being completely honest. So, yeah. Then let's go to the John Cena thing itself. McMahon comes out, introduces John Cena. Cena comes out, and I'm not bashing Cena here. This was not a horrible promo, because let's be real. John Cena's so good in the mic, any sort of promo he does is going to be okay. At worst, it's going to be okay. But that's what this was. I mean, this was just a promo that Cena dialed in. I mean, Cena could have cut this in his sleep. Basically just goes, when I think of 20 years, I think of you guys. Allow me to be here 20 years. We're in this together. We never give up. Cena Nation. It's like, right, what did Cena really say here? This was Cena saying, basically, thank you for 20 years. I couldn't have done it without you guys. You guys allowed me to be here for 20 years. I'll never say never. I'll be back, but I don't know when. That's basically what Cena said here. So it was supposed to be a Cena appreciation night, but instead Cena was appreciating the fans. I mean, it wasn't bad. I'm not going to say it was horrible, but did it really add anything to the show? No, because we know Cena can do this. Cena, like I said, he can do this in his sleep. This is not like a fucking great promo from Cena or anything like that. So, yeah. We then had Bobby Lashley versus the Alpha Academy 2-on-1 handicap match. Bobby wins. Then after the end of the match, Austin Theory joins in and there's a 3-on-1 beatdown, and Bobby Lashley just gets up and destroys everybody, hits spears. Bobby Lashley is going to be facing Austin Theory for the United States Championship at Money in the Bank. Personally, I don't know how I feel about this. On one hand, I mean, Bobby Lashley is above the US champion, and I don't think he should have that title. But at the same time, I don't really want him to lose to Austin Theory. And let's be real, because Roman Reigns is hogging the 2 world titles on SmackDown, the US champion is essentially the main title on Raw. So, I mean, it's the only belt that Bobby Lashley can go after. I mean, the whole title thing is shambolic, man. They need to get those belts off Reigns. They fucking do. I mean, you got Bobby Lashley on Raw, and what can he do? He's got no world title to go after, so he's having to face Austin Theory for the mid-card belt, and it's It's dumb. It really is dumb. We then had Cody Rhodes addressing Seth freaking Rollins, addressing the Money in the Bank, and says if Seth Rollins wins, he'll be the first person to congratulate him. Then he kind of just walked off. So that was a bit weird. Yeah, not really. Don't know what that was all about. Then we had Becky Lynch come out, and Becky Lynch said she is the embodiment of never give up. She says she'll never give up, and she will get her Raw Women's Championship back. Then we moved into the main event. It was 6 women competing for the opportunity in a 6-pack challenge elimination style matchup. You get beat by pinfall or submission, you are eliminated. The last woman standing obviously qualifies for Money in the Bank. And the participants were Becky Lynch, Doudrop, Nikki Ash, Tamina, Shayna Baszler, and Shia Lee. I mean, can you honestly tell me that looking at these 6, you did not know who the winner was? Of course, Becky Lynch was winning this match. I think Becky Lynch could have been on a 5-on-1 handicap match against these 5, and she still would have won. I mean, that's what I mean in WWE. Like, the gap between the top tier women and the rest of the women is fucking huge. Like, the gap, I mean, you've got people like, I don't know, Sasha Banks isn't there anymore, but I mean, you've got like Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Ronda Rousey, and like the gap between those people and the rest is just, it's massive, you know? I mean, no one who really thought Tamina was going to beat Becky Lynch here, or Doudrop was going to, I mean, Nikki, it was never, Shia Lee, I don't even think she's won a match yet since debuting, supposed to be the protector. I mean, last week she was a heel on SmackDown, tonight on Raw she looked like a face based on how she got eliminated from her match, but, I mean, yeah, Becky Lynch in the end beats, Doudrop last with the Becky bottom, the Bex bottom, or whatever you call it, off the top rope. She wins. She is going to Money in the Bank, and yeah, she is the last person in there, guys. And that's how we ended Raw. Again, was it a great Raw? No, far from it. But it was cool to see Cena back. It was nice to see Cena actually get involved in a lot of stuff backstage, rather than just Cena turn up, cut a promo, and fuck off. We actually got to see Cena interact with people. And I wish they would, when they get, like, for example, when they get Brock Lesnar, whenever Brock Lesnar turns up, why, just don't do one and done. Can we get Brock Lesnar actually multiple times throughout the night? That's what you need to do. When you've got a star there, you need to have them on TV, you need to have them on screen as much as you can. So yeah, I mean, the Cena stuff was okay. It was kind of cool seeing people come in and speak about Cena. Surprised we got Jericho and Daniel Bryan, if I'm being honest. I mean, the opening Battle Royal was no bad as well. I thought that was decent. And yeah, I mean that's probably where the decent stuff ends. It wasn't a great Raw. I'm going to give this Raw, in terms of a rating, I'll give it a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. I think a 2 out of 10 is fair. Is it fair? No, you know what? We'll give it a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Aye, that's it. 3 out of 10, guys. Let me know what you think down below. I'm not going to go any higher than that. Fuck it. 3 out of 10 it is. Till next time. Peace.